All right, here we go. 1090 Jake, welcome back to Vlad TV.
What's up, man? How you doing?
The world's going crazy right now.
Yeah.
Everyone's losing their mind. Who better to bring on the show to talk about it than 1090 Jake?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, we have to start with Diddy. We have to start with Diddy. The most shocking event, man, in the last 20 years in hip hop.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's the Diddy thing, I don't know. It's crazy because I feel like more came out in the lawsuits than in the actual indictment, or maybe the lawsuits just made it where we already heard everything. But like with his actual indictment, I think it's gonna change a lot of things for a lot of people. I think flying girls out is over with. House parties are over with. Like, it's just, you know? But at the same time, to be fair, a lot of what he's accused of, because he's hit with racketeering, where they're basically just piling up every accusation against him, from violence, from this, from that, whatever. But then the two other charges is, what, sex trafficking and then engaging in prostitution, like traveling prostitution?
Right, sex trafficking, racketeering, and kidnapping.
And kidnapping?
And kidnapping, yeah.
So I thought the three charges he had federally was racketeering, sex trafficking, and then something about transporting and prostitution.
Let me look it up exactly. Okay, so here we go. Combs was indicted on 3 felony counts: racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. In addition to those charges put forth in the indictment, the prosecution also alleged that Combs partook in kidnapping, forced labor, bribery, and other crimes.
Right. So I think with the other crimes, that's what's all wrapped up in the racketeering case, because they're even highlighting the Cassie shit and Kid Cudi blowing his car up. And I mean, yeah, all that, okay, whatever. But as far as like the transport, I didn't know that was even a charge like that, a federal, you know, because any girl you fly out, that means if she profits in any way, because she knows if she's getting flown out, she's getting fucked. So if she profits any way financially, you could get indicted like Diddy?
It's relatively crazy. Like, there's actually a famous clip when I was on Math Hoffa show where I said something like that, and you see like all the hosts get up and walk out like, at the same time.
Everybody's
we'll play a little clip from that right now, because it's actually a really funny clip. Like, you actually see Math and the other guys literally walk out and walk off camera at that point. And if you fly a girl out for the purpose of sex, that technically is sex trafficking. Run for it, guys! Yeah, man. Like, listen, men have been flying women out ever since there were planes. You know, when they invented the first plane, some guy said, "Hey, I got an idea. I'm gonna fly my side chick out from New York to LA."
Yeah, a bitch got a ticket immediately.
You know, and from that point on, millions of times this has occurred. So my whole thing is, listen, if you fly a woman out and y'all have sex and you give her some money, you take her shopping, whatever else, it's hard to prove anything. These laws are kind of designed for people being trafficked against their will,
right,
and so forth. And I think you're going to have a hard time trying to indict somebody if you see the woman is actually very willing and wants to come out and everything else like that. Clearly, this isn't being done against her will. And I think in general, when I look at these charges, and knowing Diddy and so forth, being around him at parties, this guy is not Quasimodo, where like, you know, he's not Harvey Weinstein. Like, women actually are approaching him and want to hang out with him and want to party with him and so forth. So trying to prove that a lot of this was done against people's will, I think it's going to be a bit hard. That's all I'm saying.
That was my whole thing. Like, I could understand people getting forced to go to Epstein Island or whatever, but I can't imagine you having to force people to go to a Diddy party. Like,
right. And like, for example, I looked through the R. Kelly case again the other day, and his charges stem from underage girls.
Yeah.
That's his conviction. It was based on so-and-so was 17 at the time, and by federal guidelines, that makes her underage. Sometimes, you have the state thing. So if it was a state case, he could have potentially gotten away with it. But like on a federal level, anything under 18 is considered illegal.
Right.
So his convictions were all based on underage girls being transported for him to have sex with them. Doesn't matter whether they're willing or not, they're underage. A statutory rape. The end of story. I don't see this in the Diddy case.
Yeah,
I don't see any semblance of underage. I know there's one girl who tried to sue him, and she's like, "Oh, I was underage in the studio with him," and there's a picture. Okay, an underage girl shows up to a studio and takes a picture. There's nothing illegal about that.
Yeah, and at the same time, something academics brought up was there's also nothing of really men saying that he was engaging in gay shit. He had guys doing things with females, females doing things with guys. But that was another big Diddy rumor, was that he was doing gay shit and this and that, whatever. You're not really seeing that in the federal indictment either. It's just more so in the Lil Rod lawsuit. But, I mean, how Boosie has been speaking on the situation, I can somewhat agree with. Like, if you're a grown-ass man and you want to throw a party and there's some freaky shit involved, if everybody is willing to do whatever y'all are doing, it isn't really an issue. Now, if you're drugging people and drugging bottles, that's a whole nother ballgame, but then they're going to have to prove that.
Well, yeah, and it's been established, for example, in my interview with Roger Bonds, that Diddy himself was a drug addict.
Yeah.
He would go into rehab multiple times. So is he drugging people, or is everyone taking drugs together?
Exactly.
That's going to be the question, and there's not a great answer for it. Someone could say, I was drugged, and someone else could say, no, the pills were on the table and you asked to take one. Like, no one forced you to take the pills. No one forced you to sniff the coke. Like, it's going to be a very weird thing. But for example, look, Harvey Weinstein is in prison right now for something very similar.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like he's obviously going to get fucked with this case. But it's a Fed case. You're not really going to be able to do too much. You know what I mean? The only one out of anybody who's surprisingly doing good against the Feds is YoungBoy, because I don't know how his lawyers are crazy. Diddy got a lot of money in this situation. I don't know if they're going to come for that money, which would essentially take away his power in the courtroom. But another thing, too, to consider is all the videotapes. Because if you have video of these people doing whatever they're doing willingly, they're not being forced to do it, that's going to be part of his defense. It's just wild, when they throw in the 1,000+ bottles of baby oil and shit like that, that's when the case starts looking a little fucking crazy.
Yo, when that came out, someone said, do you realize how long it takes you to go through one bottle of baby oil?
That shit's wild.
You could have a baby oil bottle for a year and it still has some in it.
Yeah.
You talking about 1,000 bottles?
Yeah, they were slipping and sliding through the mansions. But, I mean, another thing, too, like, one thing that I was looking at was the guns that they found inside of his house. They found 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers. That's a federal charge right there. And then they found in his L.A. mansion a 50-round drum, which there's no high-capacity magazines in California. So I was wondering if he was going to get a hit with additional gun charges for that shit. But, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
That's interesting. Why would Diddy, of all people, have guns with scratched off serial numbers?
Yeah, he had 6 legal firearms in a safe, but 3 AR-15s with defaced serial numbers. So,
if I were to guess, I think the feds are probably holding on to that just in case. Like, in case he beats all these other charges, we're going to pull this one out and do a superseding indictment. Start a whole new trial for the guns.
Yeah, well, I mean, because look at that. They hit the house, they find drugs and guns in the house. It's a perfect combination to put somebody the fuck away. You know what I mean?
My biggest surprise right now, and I'm still kind of reeling from this, is that he wasn't given bail. Originally, he was denied. They came back and offered a $15 million package, and once again, it was denied.
Would that have been the highest bail paid in history?
No.
There's more than 50 million?
The FTX guy put up $250 million.
God damn.
Yeah, I looked it up.
That's crazy.
He put up $250 million.
Because hearing 50 million, that's fucking... And then they try to add the stipulation, he won't have any contact with any females. He won't have any females at his house. Like, I don't know. Shit's crazy.
Yeah, only Meek Mill's allowed over there. But not like 50 million is actually not that crazy because if you think about it, 10% of 50 million is only $5 million. He probably spends that in travel in a year.
Yeah.
So I'm not really surprised at the 50 million package. He has houses that are worth that. Not a big deal at all. But I guess he had contacted one of the witnesses something like 50-something times. And they see that as, okay, he's trying to potentially affect witnesses and, you know, he's potentially a danger if he's out in terms of trying to affect the trial, which is why the judge said that he's not going to give him a bail, because that's what the prosecution came back with, and the defense wasn't able to counter that.
Right.
You know, why did he call? Because what had happened was Dawn Richards, you know, she was part of Making the Band. She sued Diddy, and this other Making the Band member was mentioned 33 times. Now, this female who was mentioned 33 times is married to one of Diddy's close friends. She came forward and said, yeah, you know, my name was mentioned all these times. I don't remember any of these incidents that she's talking about. I've never seen him beat up Cassie, whatever else. So I guess he was like calling her like crazy to try to like get her to like somehow stand up for him, because no one's standing up for him at this point.
Yeah, nobody.
Nobody, yes, Boosie is standing up for him in terms of in general, but Boosie wasn't there to see any of this stuff.
And
so
I think
that doesn't help him.
Meek came out and said something, offering up like $1 million if anybody can prove he did something, whatever. But yeah, everyone seems to be staying away from this entire situation.
I've been saying this and people laugh about it, but it's not as funny anymore. I don't understand why, at the point that you knew a grand jury indictment is coming, because you heard rumors about it for a while, and then it actually happened. Why would Diddy stick around in America and wait to be arrested and potentially do life in prison when he could go to Russia where there's no extradition policy and just basically stay there until they either charge him or they don't charge him?
I don't know if I'd want to go to Russia. Is there any other options besides Russia? Because that doesn't sound like the place you want to really, you know?
Steven Seagal's in Russia right now.
Yeah?
Steven Seagal, the actor, caught a bunch of rape charges. He went to Russia, and he's been fined ever since. Edward Snowden leaked documents that are essentially treason.
Yeah.
He is facing life in prison in America. He's been living in Russia ever since. There's no possible way the U.S. will invade Russia to get back anybody, much less Diddy.
Right.
He could stay there as long as he wants, and I'm sure Russia would be happy to have his money. In fact, Roman Polanski, he was accused of raping like a 13-year-old girl back in like the 70s, and he ended up escaping to France, where he lived most of his life after that, and then I think he went to Poland. He's 91 years old. Once again, never extradited back.
Damn.
By actually going to certain countries. A lot of times it also depends on the law, where it's like, well, over here, there's not, let's say, as harsh of a penalty for a certain thing, so we're not going to send this person back to a country that's going to get put in prison for something we don't agree with in terms of the amount of time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Right. There's very interesting stipulations along the way. Yeah, I would go to Russia. I mean, there's also like Iran, North Korea.
Yeah, all those places sound fucking terrible. There ain't nothing in South America? Something
I think maybe
tropical?
Venezuela.
Yeah, no, that's like the murder capital of the world.
Listen, if you're escaping America and going to a place that will not participate with America, you're not really going to the creme de la creme. You know what I'm saying? You got to scrape the barrel a little bit in these situations, all right?
Russia just sounds cold as fuck, and I don't know.
There's Algeria, Uzbekistan, Lebanon, Syria, Brunei, Abu Dhabi, UAE.
Oh yeah, I'm going there.
Dubai.
That would have been his best. What?
Yeah, but
should have went there.
You know something? Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, right? Okay, when I'm naming these countries, they don't have an official extradition policy. Okay, China is another one also. Let me see. Hold on. China, Morocco, Moldavia, Cambodia, Vatican City, Uganda, Iran, Russia, Afghanistan, North Korea, Central African Republic. They don't have official extradition policies with the U.S. There's no official policy, but that doesn't mean they can't decide to send you back.
Mm.
You know, hey, you know that tariff we've been running on your, steel for all these years? We could lower it a little bit. Just give us Diddy.
Yeah.
Sure, no problem. Take him. Fuck that guy. That kind of stuff could happen. But see, like with Russia,
if anybody had the money to make it happen, it's him. But
that's what I'm saying.
He decided not to go with it. Now he's on suicide watch inside of
they're saying that's
Brooklyn.
not really true. I think what happened is after losing Epstein through suicide and the camera wasn't working, the guard wasn't there, they look so bad that they're probably going to overdo it for anyone that's close to an Epstein.
Oh yeah, I don't think he's suicidal. Anytime, like especially with like Florida mugshots, when someone catches a murder charge, you see them in a turtle suit and a suicide jacket. Like they just do that because a lot of people's first thoughts is like, oh, I'm just gonna, you know what I mean? Like I don't think he's suicidal, but at the same time, that's the worst time to do is in a suicide because there's nothing in the room with you. You have nothing to look at, you're literally naked in a suicide jacket. And you can't, they can't give you utensils. They got to give you food in a styrofoam plate. You got to rip the corner off of the styrofoam to scoop up the food to eat with. You barely get any toilet paper. They don't give you a roll, nothing. So he's doing like tough time right now. That shit's not fucking, it's just he's protected from everyone else. Because I think 6ix9ine had gotten to a situation the second he hit MDC Brooklyn. And that's when they ended up putting him in PC. But
yeah, to think that he went from one of, he's going to the best restaurants, flying private, finest clothes, women everywhere, and now he's in the worst possible situation with no bail is just, I can't get my head around it. I'm like, God damn, like, did he really locked up? And think about it, this trial may not start for years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fucked up situation, but
yeah, the trial may not start for years, and the trial itself may last over a year.
Mm-hmm.
The Fed's gonna call 100 witnesses, and this is gonna be like almost like a Young Thug situation. If they want to get a RICO on someone like a Diddy who got way more money than Young Thug, he's gonna bring everything. He's gonna have an army of private investigators.
And he's got ammo himself on a lot of fucking people. That's the thing. And that's one thing I brought up is, all right, does he have shit that he can use to cooperate? Yeah, they got him, but what does he have on other people? Because in the feds, all of that is bargaining chips. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the state, snitching really ain't the same. You can snitch and still get 20, 30 years. But in the feds, they actually play with that, So it's like, what would he be able to provide if he could, and what does he actually have?
Yeah, people say that the whole indictment happened because of the Diageo conflict and the lawsuit and everything else like that. I don't really believe that. What I think is when the Cassie lawsuit went public, it created such a media uproar that it just got on the Fed's radar, and law enforcement is reactive.
Yeah.
Just in the same way that the R. Kelly documentary triggered his whole investigation. This is what happens. People drop documentaries. The Cassie lawsuit was so crazy because, like, for example, I know someone who was with Kid Cudi when his car blew up.
Yeah.
And that actually happened. Everyone was sitting around like, God damn, your car just blew up. Like, that actually happened.
Yeah.
Now they have to prove that Diddy did it. That's a different situation, but that car actually blew up. That I know. I'm going to say that's a fact because who I talked to, and I'm not going to say who it is, told me this in confidence, and they were actually with him when it actually occurred. You know, they weren't even in his house. You know, they weren't even in the vicinity when it happened. They were in a whole different place when it happened, and he got a call saying, "Yo, your car just blew up."
Yeah, because they detailed it in the indictment. They said they cut the roof to the convertible and threw a Molotov cocktail in.
Oh, that's how I was trying to.
See, that's the thing is in the indictment, it talks about in 2016 him beating Cassie in the hotel, seeing it. It just doesn't name her and it doesn't name Kid Cudi in the other event. But that's where the arson comes from. The bribery comes from bribing the hotel. So it just didn't actually name what the situation was, but those situations are within the racketeering indictment.
So, okay, ultimately, when you look at these charges and you look at the situation, what do you predict?
Prison. I don't know how long. I have no idea how long, but I don't see him just getting out of this situation. It's the feds. They decided to take on a very big person that has a lot of power. And with that, I feel like they know what they're doing and they're going to try to do what they want to do with him.
Well, the reason why the feds have a 98% conviction rate is that 95% of the people plead out, right?
Yeah, plea deals.
So if you could actually go to court, you have a chance of beating the feds. This does happen. You know, they don't win in court 98% of the time. They win in court, let's say, what, maybe 60, 70% of the time?
We'll take this into consideration, too, because I think what they said was he's facing 15 mandatory to life if he blows trial. He technically has a sex case. He can't walk in a federal prison. They're not going to go for that. You know what I mean? So it's like you blow trial and you get hit with a life sentence of 30 years or whatever. Where is he going to go that he's actually safe in a federal prison? Because if he hits a USP with sex charges, it's over with.
Yeah, but it's Diddy. Come on. Diddy walks into a prison. Half the prisoners have a son or a nephew who's a rapper. You see what I'm saying? The guards.
100%. But then
people
at the
people
same
are going to
time,
worship him in prison.
You're going to have that 20-year-old kid that just got in there. He's got a fresh life sentence, killed somebody with a switch. He's got mad time. He knows if he goes and stabs Diddy, his name just went up in the ranks. You got dudes that have been in there for mad long that would love to have that reputation. The Whitey Bulger case. They didn't have shit to do with each other, and they still killed him. You know what I'm saying? So you never know. It could always be a situation, but it's just going to be the fact that, could you imagine Diddy picking up a knife?
No.
So if he hits a spot where they're stabbing shit, he's at a disadvantage. It's prison.
So he's going to be what? In PC the whole time?
I don't know, because PC and the feds, from what I've heard, is just confinement. It's not a separate dorm. It's not a, you're literally just in confinement. You're stuck in confinement. You're in the cell the whole time.
So 23 hours, 1 hour outside.
I think that's a facade too, because the prison I was in, we never had 23 and 1. You in that bitch until they want to let you out. They might let you out one hour on a weekend, like on a Saturday, but it's 24-hour lockdown. So I don't know how it is in the feds. I just know with a case like him, if he got a sex case, if they send him somewhere like a lower level, he's going to be around all the Epstein type of dudes. They're going to put him in a spot like that because that's, you know what I mean? That's the only place they can house him. So.
Or he could be in Moscow right now, hanging out with Putin, eating borscht. You know, like, it could have really been a very different life for him right now.
And maybe he feels confident.
You could feel confident, but this is going to be a multi-year process.
Right.
So would you rather wait 3 years, spend $100 million to be found not guilty, or get some slap on the wrist, you know, plea deal, or would you rather just go to another country and live like a millionaire somewhere else outside the U.S.? That's all I'm saying.
No.
That's all I'm saying. I know my choice. If I caught something like that, I'll just be out. Like, all right, cool. I'm in Russia now. I'll figure it out. I'd be anywhere. I'd rather be anywhere than a jail cell for long periods of time. How's that? Anywhere in the world. Anywhere. That's just me. I don't think people, I don't know why people don't think like that.
Nah, definitely. I mean, it makes sense.
Okay, so Boosie and Rollo have been going at it.
Right.
Now, you talked about the Rollo case. You're saying he never snitched.
Yeah.
What exactly is the friction between the two of them then?
Well, there was somebody out of Atlanta that was going around with Rollo's paperwork, trying to expose him, somebody that Rollo was close to at one point in time. And this person was claiming he was pulling up on celebrities and showing them the paperwork. I'm not going to name everybody, but I'm pretty sure Boosie was one. Whatever he showed Boosie made a decision, and he's standing on it. I didn't trust the guy to begin with because he sent me a few pages and tried to sell me the rest. So the second somebody's trying to sell me paperwork, it's like, all right, because you're trying to morally say, oh, he's a snitch, we shouldn't fuck with him, but you're trying to sell the proof. So I'm not going to go for that. So everything that I looked up and, you know, things that were provided to me, it aligned with what Rollo said he was doing. He was going to pay somebody to basically go down for this fake situation he was providing to the feds. The feds saw right through the bullshit. They didn't go for it. Boosie and Rollo have this situation now, and Rollo is pretty much trying to clear his name and get next to anybody that's saying anything otherwise. And the main guy that tried to expose Rollo hasn't said anything since Rollo's been home. So, I don't know how they can resolve that situation. I hope they do resolve the situation, but that's the current.
Yeah, I hate to see it. I know both of them. Obviously, I'm closer to Boosie, but I have interviewed Rollo before, and I've had conversations with him over the phone. We haven't talked since he got home. But I think his thing is like he wants to meet up with Boosie and actually show him the actual proof and so forth, and I don't disagree with that. If you make an accusation and the person actually wants to provide a retort of some sort, I think it's not a bad idea to actually look at it. Because, you know, there was the whole situation with him and T.I. Remember, T.I. said that he snitched on his friend to get out of a gun case, and then he came back and said, no, I was speaking, you know, as a what-if situation.
Right.
A hypothetical. That never actually happened. And then, you know, once Boosie accepted that, I think he apologized publicly, but, you know, it just was what it was.
Yeah, well, I mean, the only dangerous thing about Boosie and Rollo linking up is if Boosie sees anything that he doesn't agree with and he stands on it, now what? Now this isn't an internet situation. Now it's I got to tell you to your face, you know? So it's a different, that might be the reason that they're not linking up, is because Boosie feels like there's no coming back off of something, but I have a different opinion on the situation.
Well, look, if what you're saying is true, then hopefully at some point they'll resolve it.
Yeah, I hope so, because we don't need any more bullshit in hip-hop, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and they don't need any more fucking legal battles, so.
No, one just got out of prison. The other one is facing prison time. Yeah,
Exactly.
This doesn't benefit anybody.
At all.
And in fact, is Rollo on probation or no?
He might have just got off.
Okay.
Because I think it's maybe like 6 months and a half way. And that'll be good. Because me and Rollo are actually going to do an interview. I was going to go down there and link up with him. But I'm not sure what it is right now.
NBA YoungBoy just accepted a deal for 27 months in his federal gun case.
Right.
Lawyers say he should be home like in a year or so.
Right.
Tell me about this case.
Well, YoungBoy shit really stems from a music video in Baton Rouge. They were outside of an abandoned home with guns doing a video. Neighbor calls the police come. They picked up, I think, 16 people, including him. They picked up a variety of guns. They found money. And it was actually the camera from the cameraman that they found the evidence that he was possessing a gun. So they get the video from the fucking music video. They see him waving guns around. They charge him with the 2 guns that was in the music video. And, yeah, 27 months is a great fucking deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus all the time served, of course.
Well, that's the thing is, if he got credit for the amount of time he spent on home detention, it'd pretty much be over with already.
No, I think they're giving credit for the jail time he actually.
Yeah, that's the only time he's getting credit for is the time incarcerated.
Okay, so he's pled guilty to the Fed case, but then there is the drug case in Utah.
Right. So Bradford Cohen, the same lawyer that made the comment about he thinks he'll be out in 12 months, he's saying that that case is weak as well. He's got 60-something charges. Who knows what's going to actually stick? But the Fed case, I think, is the bigger one.
Right. He's got 63 charges for essentially obtaining fraudulent pills. Well, no, obtaining the pills fraudulently, meaning that him and some girls that he was dealing with were calling in, pretending to be doctors and asking for prescriptions and stuff like that. And of course, all the pharmacists are all cooperating and everything was recorded.
Yeah. And allegedly, they think he called and acted like an old lady to get the fucking... So, I don't know. I don't know if they have that actual recording, but that's crazy to hear.
Oh, yeah. If that gets released, that's going to go viral. Instantly. Well, but he's not a drug seller. He's a drug user.
Exactly. And that'll be in his defense. He's clearly not fucking okay. He's been on home detention for like 2 years. He took a video with a shitload of Xanax pills everywhere, or a picture. That's something they're going to be able to fight. Like, look, he needs help. He doesn't need time. And I think the whole thing is they're just making it sound like a drug trafficking ring, or, you know, even though it's not, it's a prescription ring, but the fact that he's not selling this shit, he's just using it, you would think would make a difference. At the end of the day, when you add up all his charges, he's still facing up to like 250 years, which is crazy. But no, I don't think he's going to get anywhere near that.
Okay, so from what you know, because this is a state case in Utah, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, you don't know Utah like that because you never lived there. But if you were to just eyeball it and say, if this happens somewhere else in the country, a person got caught 63 times trying to get drugs for themselves, involving other people, and you are the ringleader in that. Let's just, you know, be clear with that. What is the maximum amount of time you would get for something like that?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. The fact that he's just a user is the most important part. But I mean, Florida doesn't really play about drugs. So it's like, you can still catch some time. It's just a matter of how it's going to go.
The YSL case is still going on with no end date in sight. It is now around 20 months, which makes the longest running criminal case in Georgia state history. And YSL Woody, I did not see this coming. I'll be honest.
A fucking celebrity now. This shit's crazy.
Listen, he is doing paid interviews. He's doing 20 versus 1s. He's getting promotional paid posts. And he actually showed up and talked at Thurgood Marshall Law School.
Man, he got bust down watches, taking pictures with mad money. He's not hiding at all.
He's outside.
He's outside. No Jumper and all of them just went over there. Adam brought some Crips with him. And they're right up next to him. And, yeah, it's crazy to see. That's why I said I don't want to do any of the snitching videos anymore, because it doesn't matter. And you got people that are really, like, sympathizing with dude because he's on stand saying this and that. Like, oh, I don't know. I don't recall. I just blamed everything on Thug. They're like, oh, he's not snitching. He's not snitching. But the whole fucking reason they're in this situation is because of all the snitching he was doing throughout the years. Steady in the interrogation room. Oh, he did this. He did that. They ordered this. They killed him. All of this stems from Woody. Thug wouldn't be in this situation. It's crazy because I thought about this the other night. Who did 6ix9ine snitch on that people gave a fuck about?
It was a bunch of street guys no one, were actually familiar with.
Nobody gave a fuck about any of them. Not to disrespect them, but nobody gave a fuck about Shotty.
Yeah.
No one really knows them.
Yeah.
But 6ix9ine, everyone hated him as soon as as soon as that happened. Woody snitched on Thug, who is loved in hip-hop. If Thug died, it would break a lot of people's fucking hearts. You know what I mean? If Shotty died, nobody except who knows him is going to care. But Woody snitched on Thug and is being celebrated and is now a fucking celebrity, essentially, who's getting paid to do anything and everything.
Right, but to be fair, 6ix9ine took the stand and pointed the finger at everyone and talked about all the crimes they were doing, period.
Yeah.
Woody's taking the stand and is kind of trying to protect Thug and saying that he's lying and he doesn't remember, and he's putting up Instagram posts saying free Young Thug and all this type of stuff. It's just bringing chaos and confusion into the courtroom and into the overall case.
Well, that's why I think people are so intrigued by the situation. But at the same time, what does it mean? Because if he ratted and caused the whole situation, I wouldn't give a fuck. Yeah, it's great you're not saying I did it now, but you're the reason I'm here. You're the reason I'm sitting through this 20-month fucking trial. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm here because of you. We're all here because of you. So at the end of the day, I'm going to feel some type of way about it. But that's what's crazy is because, I can go ahead and drop a video saying he's a snitch, and Thug can get out and be like, nah, Woody's good. And now I'm into Woody because I thought he snitched on Thug, which he clearly did, but Thug doesn't give a fuck because he saved his face in the courtroom. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, the whole thing is absolutely confusing on a lot of different levels.
Just remember this. They'll call you the police because of questions you ask, but then they'll pay to take a picture with Woody. Shit's fucking crazy. I don't want to hear nothing anymore about nothing.
When I interviewed Academics recently, he said he's 100% sure Young Thug will be found guilty. Now, keep in mind, there's lots of charges.
Right.
When they, similar to what you talked about in the Diddy case, when they raided Young Thug's house, they found guns with switches and drugs. So there's that.
Yeah.
And you're going to be hard-pressed to get out of that one. So can they prove the RICO and so forth? That's going to be a tough one. But they do have the backup plan. And that backup plan, a gun with a switch, that's a fairly serious crime, especially in Georgia, right?
I'm not sure what it is in Georgia, having a machine gun in the feds. I think it's up to like 10 years.
Yeah, this is not the feds, though. This is the state.
Yeah, it's the state case, so I don't know what a machine gun is in Georgia. But I mean,
well, it's interesting because there's actually a DA that's running against Fonnie Willis, who said that she'll drop all the charges against Young Thug.
Yeah.
As soon as she becomes a DA. But what Academics pointed out is that this woman has absolutely no chance of beating Fonnie, in an election. That although hip-hop doesn't like Fonnie Willis, the people in her district absolutely adore her. Because she really, when she took these guys off the street, crime rates have dropped significantly.
Right.
And the thing is that it took a black woman to bring these charges up because a white DA, it would be seen as racist. Oh, you're just trying to target black men, because you're white and privileged and you're racist and you're a white supremacist. But they can't pull that shit with Fonnie Willis.
Right.
What do you think will be the outcome of the Young Thug case?
I'm not sure. I kind of hope for a miracle in the situation. But like you said, they got a lot of shit. I think the good thing about it, though, is in Georgia, if I'm not mistaken, unless it's a crime of violence, you only have to do like 65%. maybe even less. But if it's a crime of violence, I think then it's 85. So it's like, that's the thing is you got certain states where even if you get hit with 10 years, you only got to do 3 or 4 off the 10 or 7 off the 10, whatever it is. Florida's like the feds. You got to do 85%. It's the most. But even if he gets hit, because that's why the people in the case that he's on, a lot of them have already been to prison and already gotten crazy sentences, but they only had to do a small percentage of it. So they got right back out. You know what I mean? So even if he goes to prison in the state of Georgia, it's like, how much time is he actually doing? And then he's going to get time served for the amount of time that he's been in there. So that on top of that, it could end in a situation like with Lucci or YoungBoy, where, yeah, you got this sentence, but you're going to get out soon. So I don't know.
Well, you know what happened with the YFN Lucci case? Everyone's wondering why he's not home yet, because when he took his deal, they're saying he'd be home in like 2-3 months.
Right.
Here's what happened. I found out the inside scoop. So when they made the deal, the DA agreed to write a letter to the parole board recommending his release. And she did that. But there wasn't a stipulation as to when she would do it. So there was already a parole board hearing, and the letter had not arrived yet.
Okay.
So when the hearing happened, no letter from the DA, they denied his parole. Then the letter came in afterwards. So now he has to wait for the next parole board hearing, and at which point they'll read the letter.
Okay.
So they're kind of playing games with him a little bit. You know, she knew what she was doing.
How much time passes before the next parole meeting?
Ooh, I think it might be, it's either 6 months or a year, something like that. I forgot. The person who told me, they told me in confidence. I don't want to put out the wrong information, but it's not going to be like next month or anything. It's going to take a little while.
Yeah, I'd be mad about that. That fucking sucks. But for what he was facing, that's still great.
Yeah, Georgia Parole Board considers parole cases for eligible inmates at least once a year. So it could be more often. But yeah, it's, yeah, man, he's going to sit down for a little while longer. But I think in the near future, he will be out.
Yeah, I mean, even if you got to do another year, bro, you just got to think about it like, all right, you were the driver in a drive-by shooting. That's not that bad, you know? 1 more year is not that bad.
Right, but his friend got shot.
Yeah.
Not by him.
And then his friend got dumped out of the car.
Oh.
But it's just like you did a drive-by shooting, trying to kill. Somebody got hit in your car. Y'all dumped them, drove off, and you really didn't get that much time. So that's what I'm saying. I'd be all right with just doing a couple of years if I had a case like that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to complain about the next parole meeting.
Right. Fair enough. Peewee Longway has been in the news recently, but there has been some misinformation about his situation. By the way, Peewee had one of the greatest Vlad TV interviews of all time. Have you seen this interview?
Yeah.
Peewee denied everything.
Yeah.
He don't know nothing about gangs. He's a school guy.
Yeah.
He don't know nothing about nothing, which made it, honestly, an even better interview.
Right.
Than had he actually admitted to whatever. No. He doesn't know what any of the acronyms mean. Nothing, man. It was a great, absolutely great interview. When I look at your music, when I listen to your music and I look at your album covers and stuff like that, I'm seeing a lot of blue. The color blue seems to be very prominent.
It's a nice color, my boy. It's a nice color. It ain't nothing like that.
Now, I assume there's a Crip thing going on?
Nah, just a nice color.
Just a nice color?
Yeah.
No cripping going on?
No nothing. Just
no
a nice
nothing.
color, just the scene. Themes and the scenes, man.
Okay. You know, growing up in that type of environment, a lot of people start to hustle early. Like, how old were you when you first started hustling?
I wasn't hustling, man. I was a school guy, man. Going to school, handling my business, man, you know.
You 100% legal? You were good?
Yeah.
Doing everything by the book?
Doing it by the book, man. Make sure it happens.
Okay. You know? And that's the way to answer those types of questions. People get mad at me for asking, but then people answer how they gonna answer. You know what I mean? So when I get that type of answer, I respect that type of answer.
Right.
You know? And for all the future rappers out there, y'all don't have to answer my questions. Y'all can answer it like Peewee Longway saying that, you know, I ain't affiliated with none of that shit. I don't do none of that shit. I'm just a rapper.
Right.
I respect that. That's what's up. But it was reported that Peewee Longway was arrested, and they had tied it to something called Operation Sweet Silence.
Yep.
Now, unfortunately, I think what had happened was people mixed up two different cases when they were reporting it.
Right.
Because we'll talk about Operation Sweet Silence in a second, but Operation Sweet Silence didn't have Peewee Longway's name listed as the 100+ people who got arrested. But Peewee Longway did actually get arrested.
Right. So with Operation Sweet Silence, I think in the original news thing, it only named actually like 19 people. And
Okay.
I think it was 101 got arrested, over 270 million worth of drugs. Peewee Longway gets arrested, they automatically associate him with that. I started looking into where he was. I started checking the jails, whatever. I couldn't find anything. And then I finally found his federal case. So Peewee Longway has, I think, 6 co-defendants. They're all Mexican. Nothing said inside of his indictment has anything to do with the other big drug bust. So in Peewee Longway's case, which I'm going to break down, I'll probably have a video up by the time this interview drops. In his case, he was working with Mexicans who were bringing drugs from Houston. And
Allegedly.
They got a conversation between him and a plug, allegedly, where he's asking for this and that. They're using code words. The feds think they're talking about meth and cocaine. Large amounts. So when they hit Peewee's house in Atlanta, or wherever his house is at, because this is out of Atlanta, when they hit his house, they found 3,000 pills they believe are cut with fentanyl. They found stolen, I think it was stolen guns or maybe just regular guns. But guns, drugs, whatever, that's what he's facing now.
That's crazy. It always shocks me when you have, I understand that this is not Gucci Mane or it's not Future. I understand that Peewee Longway is not that level of rapper, but he does have a real fan base.
Right.
He does have projects that people like. He can go on tour. Why not put all your effort into your legal hustle as opposed to allegedly running a criminal operation on the side?
Well, I think he broke it down in your interview. One of the things that he said was rap is just fun to him. So, you know, you got guys that do other things and they just rap as a hobby, when if they put more effort into it, it could have been a better career choice. But yeah, his shit doesn't look good. They go inside of your house, they find 3,000 pills and guns. That's not a good combination. And then the fact that it's got fentanyl in it, you know, all these rappers that are dying is because of fucking fentanyl. All these fake ass pills. Rich Homie Quan, I don't know if they confirmed what he took, but yeah, it's sad.
A 34-year-old doesn't just die for no reason.
No.
And Boosie even said that, yo, Quan just overdosed. So I'm sure it came from some actual real source. Look, I did Quan's first interview ever. We did a flashback of it. Me and Quan were always cool, man. Like, 34 is crazy young. And he had kids and so forth. And look, like, he had some dope, he has big songs. He was still touring. He was still making money. I remember I saw a video with all his cars. Like he was pretty well off. He was not a struggling rapper, but I'm sure that the stress of, people saying what his involvement is in the whole Young Thug trial and everything, I'm sure that took a toll on him and probably made him want to escape a little bit.
Right.
It's sad.
It sucks because I did a video on him and I wasn't speaking too highly of him, which is why I didn't say anything when the news broke that he passed. I don't want to show fake love. I don't know him. It's just still a sad situation, and nobody expected that would have happened. But I mean, there was the girl signed to Gucci. There was Big Scar. So it's like, people need to stop taking these fucking pills. And people know, even Kodak came out because he had a lyric saying he knew the perk was fake, but he still ate it. Yeah. And he came out and basically denounced that lyric.
Yeah.
I salute that. I respect that because it's like, it's not it. And you're taking a 50-50 chance when you're taking these fucking pills.
Man, look, I've told the story a couple times where I was in Atlanta a few months ago and I was in the studio interviewing a rapper and these guys came in and they offered me cocaine. And I'm looking at them going like, this can't be real life right now. Like, people would really take cocaine off of some randoms in a studio and expect things to work out. I don't even know y'all. And they were like, are you sure? And I'm like, yes, I'm sure. I'm cool. I've never taken cocaine. Listen, period.
You ever heard of Lil Nar?
Yeah.
He fucked with Chief Keef and
I interviewed him, yeah.
I think he went viral with the RPG and shit. So I seen him post the other day, because Whippets are big in Cali. He was like, look, I'm going to show y'all the best way to take Whippets. He loads it up, gets it ready, and then fucking throws it in the trash. I was like, that was great.
Yep.
That's shit people need to see. Because it's like, everyone just wants to get on this hype train of perks and perks and perks, and people are dying left and fucking right off of that shit.
I mean, I've interviewed 5 rappers that have died from overdoses. And Aaron Carter was doing Whippets back in the day. And ultimately, he died in his bathtub. He just drowned, like Whitney Houston. It's, man, these cheap-ass, poor man drugs, like, it's... He was telling me how it leaves, like residue in your lungs and, like, shards in your lungs and everything. He was saying how he was fucked up over it. It's, if you're going to do drugs, if you're going to do pills, make sure they're from the pharmacy. And I think that's ultimately what happened to YoungBoy. He knew that if he was taking street drugs, and he could do that under the table, he could, listen, he was on home arrest, house arrest. He could have people come over and bring him, illegal drugs. That wouldn't have been a big problem. But I think he knew, hey, if I keep doing this, I'm going to die. So let me risk my freedom by getting real prescription drugs.
And it shows the power and the influence of music because, you go back to when I was growing up, you had Gucci and Jeezy talking about selling drugs. Nobody was talking about doing the shit. We were just talking about selling it.
Gucci was talking about doing drugs.
What was he doing, though?
Gucci. Yeah. Is you rolling? Bitch, I might be. Bitch,
yeah,
I
but
might be.
That's an X pill, though.
Yeah, that's an X pill.
Back then, you could take beans all day. They weren't cutting it with fentanyl. That wasn't even a thing. But when the perks became the shit to rap about, that's what's fucking everybody up. Same shit with lean. The bigger lean got, the more people started taking that, the more people started dying off of it. So it's like, but yeah, rolling, that's just about girls and,
Yeah, but that's still drugs. That's still taking drugs.
Yeah.
And ecstasy is ecstasy. That's not weed.
Nah, ecstasy is ecstasy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've done ecstasy before. I mean, it's not, I don't understand getting addicted to ecstasy, at least now for me and my biology, but people have gotten hooked off.
Boosie was talking about X too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, but motherfuckers wasn't dying like that off of it.
Yeah, they weren't cutting it with fentanyl, which is what's happening now. Yeah, Gangster Boo, Mac Miller, Coolio, all people I've interviewed, all people that have died off overdoses. All of them, I believe, are fentanyl.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Rich Homie Quan, man. He was a good dude. I know you didn't know him, but he had always been consistent, always been very humble. Whenever I needed to reach him, he would pick up. Like, done multiple interviews on my platform, never shied away from questions, man. Just a good dude, man. I was actually very sad to see him go. The Peewee Longway case that he's not involved in, Operation Sweet Silence, is actually a train wreck in and of itself. So that operation seized 155 guns, 496 pounds of meth, 7 kilograms of fentanyl. 7 kilograms of fentanyl. Let me repeat that. 57 kilograms of cocaine and 55,000 pounds of marijuana worth $250 million. Keep in mind, marijuana is still illegal in Georgia. 101 people were arrested. It was a 2-year investigation. And they say the criminal operation centered around 2 gangs in Columbus, Georgia. The Crips and the Zohanans?
Zohannas, something like that, yeah.
Zohanans, yeah. I've never heard of this gang. Not to say that they're not, you know.
There's some local shit. They actually did a vlog with a YouTuber who basically just goes in and interviews whole gangs and just lets himself snitch. But they did a whole vlog just showing like, yeah, this is us. This is what we do.
Yeah. So essentially, there was multiple government agencies, both local and federal, involved in this. There was 250 FBI agents and analysts that were involved. 7 different SWAT teams were used during the operation, and the DEA was also involved. There was more of a minor rapper named YSN Trap that was on the list of 19 people that were actually facing federal charges. So this situation, which Peewee Longway is not involved in, is actually a crazy situation.
Yeah, and from what I've heard, one of the people actually named in that situation is related to Peewee Longway.
Huh. Well, I mean, it's Georgia. A lot of people related to each other.
There's a lot of different ties with certain shit, but yeah, they're going to get smoked because they had way too much shit.
A Philly rapper named YBC Duel was killed after claiming that he was untouchable.
Right.
He referred to himself as Mr. Disrespectful. He was constantly dissing his ops and the dead friends and family of the ops. There's actually a video of him digging up an op's grave, which I guess later was revealed wasn't a real thing. It was just, you know, for the gram.
Right.
But 24 hours after claiming that no one would ever touch him, he was murdered. And they actually arrested a 16-year-old for the killing. What do you know about this situation?
So how the Philly police detectives, whatever, broke it down is basically this 16-year-old kid had nothing to do with Duel. And they think he killed him just for the clout, to be the person that's like, yeah, I killed the most disrespectful rapper in the city. Duel, like you said, he would do a lot of things. He found that he was getting a lot of popularity and views off of doing the most disrespectful shit he could do. There was somebody that was killed leaving their job. They worked at McDonald's. They ended up getting gunned the fuck down. And Duel started shooting music videos in McDonald's, recreating, you know, dragging a body into a grave and burying it and dumping out French fries and all these McDonald's references because the kid that got killed was working at McDonald's. So more or less, he wanted to be the most disrespectful person in that city. It made him a target to people just because of that. They said that there was no gang feud between him and the person that killed him. It was strictly just for clout. Just to be able to say, I did that to him.
If he's 16, will he be tried as an adult?
I'm not sure how it works in Philly. But I mean, they had the other kid in Philly, the fucking Philly assassin that got hit with like 4 murders. So I'm assuming.
Here we go. Anyone charged with murder in Pennsylvania, regardless of age, will be tried as an adult. This is due to a mandatory direct file statute that was passed in 1995.
Oh, well, he's fucked then, because the amount of evidence they got against this 16-year-old is fucking crazy. They had a stolen car. He hooked his phone up to the car. So when the police found it afterwards, they go into the cars, whatever, science shit, whatever. They find his cell phone information through that and then find conversations that he was having with people in jail talking about how, oh yeah, we just did this, we just did that. They got surveillance video from Dual's shooting, tracking a vehicle all the way to the back of his parents' home, and then they see him getting out of the vehicle and walking into his parents' house after Dual was killed. So they got pretty much whatever they need.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Like, I was watching the Menendez brothers documentary, well, not documentary, series on Netflix, and they just rolled up to their parents' house, killed both their parents, and then just cried when the police arrived. The police assumed they didn't do it. I'm thinking how impossible this would be. You know, this happened in like the 90s. Like, they would have tracked cars, tracked cell phones, whatever else. Like, you could literally get away with a murder in the 90s because no one saw you. Like the Tupac situation right there in Vegas. Hey, no one had a camera. There's no cameras everywhere else. There's no cell phones, really. Okay, I didn't do it. No evidence. Cases, you know, there's no case. These days, you're going to get caught. There's really no way around it. I remember academics pointed out that if you walk by a Tesla, there's cameras all around the Teslas that's always filming, and all they have to do is find some Teslas in the area, and now they have 4K footage of you.
Yep.
And there's Teslas everywhere. So if you're going to commit a murder in 2024 or later, just assume you're going to prison. Just assume, okay, I'm going to commit the murder, then I'm going to go to prison. The whole thing is I'm going to get away with it. Just take that out of your equation when you're deciding to do the murder.
Right.
If you're okay with life in prison, go ahead and do it.
That's why they say it's a life for a life. You take theirs and you put yourself away.
Now, what's Brandon Buckingham's role in this whole thing?
So this is the whole thing, and this is also where the confusion comes in for the 24-hour thing. Dude was killed 24 hours after a vlog was dropped. So Brandon Buckingham went to Philly, linked up with Dual, actually formed a friendship with him and his other people, and Dual pretty much just took him through the city, showing him this, showing him that, letting him know how dangerous it is for them to be doing what they're doing. Brandon just filmed everything, vlogged it. The vlog releases, he gets killed the next day. A lot of people were coming at him, academics being one of them, saying that he's basically just trying to profit off of people and taking advantage of the situation, which I disagree with, because it's like, all right, this is the type of content he does. He does documentary style shit. People obviously want to see what's going on in the hood. He's taking you there firsthand, interviewing people, showing you what it is. Dual ends up getting killed. And a lot of the anger people had because of that kind of just went towards him. And then a rapper that was into it with Dual invited Brandon to come out. He said, hey, you know what? I'm going to show y'all how to do a vlog in Philly without dying. Come out here and do something with me. And Brandon was like, nah, because I know you're into it with him, and that's not a good look for any fucking body. I'm not trying to fuel the violence. I'm just trying to do my job and document the shit in the city. So
yeah, I mean, that kind of happened to me when I interviewed No Plug, when he talked about getting shot at by Bankroll Fresh and returning fire, and Bankroll Fresh getting killed. Fresh's people reached out to me, and they were like, we want to do an interview with you also. And I had to make the decision to say, no, I'm not going to do it. This is going to escalate this back and forth. Because, you know, No Plug's people was 21 Savage. He was actually there in the interview when I was doing it. If you look at my 21 Savage interview and the No Plug interview, same couch, same pile of money.
yeah, I remember the whole thing.
Yeah. So, and I had to struggle with this because I'm like, well, I do want to give them their side, but I know what's going to happen. This is just going to escalate the potential for more and more violence. I gave No Plug a platform because he, in fact, acted in self-defense. Notice how he's never been arrested.
Right.
They released the footage on TMZ about a year later, and you see No Plug waving around the AK. So I felt I was right in a certain degree, but I could see how his people probably still hate me to this day because it's like I didn't give them a chance to talk. But at one point, you don't necessarily need both sides when it's established that one side acted in self-defense.
Right.
And I'm sure they're going to tell a very different story, that maybe No Plug was the aggressor and so forth. But at the end of the day, No Plug never went to prison. He's still alive. Rest in peace, Bankroll Fresh. I did not know him. I did not have anything against him on any level. He was a dope rapper. There were some songs I heard by him that were very good. And, I'm sorry that things ended up the way they did. But if you shoot at somebody, you should be prepared that that is the last thing you ever do.
Yeah, and I mean, it's tough because, Adam22 is pretty good at getting both sides. Letting one go and then letting the other go. But what comes with that is people say he's trying to start wars and this and that. But I mean, the reality of it is people want to hear both fucking sides. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, that's what comes with it. But as far as the industry, it's like if you interview a Quando Rondo, that could potentially end any interview with Dirk and anyone affiliated with that side. So it's like you got to really almost pick and choose who to fuck with, because other people aren't going to go for it. Oh, you interviewed him, you let him say this. Either let us say this or we're not going to fuck with you. But as far as Brandon Buckingham, bro, I feel like he just did his fucking job. A lot of people are mad at him. A lot of people want to point the finger. Be mad at the 16-year-old that shot Duel. Because that's the reason this shit is what it is. Not because of what Brandon did. He could have did that vlog and then Duel dropped a hit record and turned into a fucking millionaire. It just didn't work out like that. But Brandon is white. It's easier to just fucking say shit about him and blame it all on the YouTuber, as the internet usually does.
What did you think of Adam22 interviewing one of Pop Smoke's killers?
Adam22 has the biggest hip-hop platform in California. So for me, it's like...
Well, Vlad TV is also in California.
Well, yeah, but you got two spots, so that's all, you had to throw that in there, too.
Had to throw it in. Shout out to my man Adam. You know what I mean? That's my man. But Vlad TV is pretty big as well.
You got states. You got more than one. But
we're based in California mostly.
For him, it's like...
Shout out to Adam, man. Don't take this like I'm taking a dig at you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you know what it is. You know what it is. You know what it is, though. You know what I'm saying? It's friendly competition. We all have it.
Yeah. But for him, it's like he's so tapped in with the gang shit in L.A. A lot of the people he has working for him have tapped into that. So it's like, it just made sense. A lot of people want to hear from, bro, if nobody wanted to hear from that kid, that shit would have no fucking views. Everyone would have avoided it. So for people to act like they don't want to, that's what I never understood. A motherfucker will come on my videos and, oh, why are you talking about, why are you clicking on it? Why are you in other people's business? Why are you watching videos on other people's business if you have a problem with it? So for me, New York is going to feel some type of way about Adam doing that. Nobody in LA is going to give a fuck. They want to hear what this kid's talking about. And it went how it went. It's the same shit with academics interviewing Young and Ace right after Foolio got smacked. Same shit. It's the same shit. People want to hear it. They want to see it. So it is what it is.
Since our last interview, Foolio has gotten killed. And 5 people were involved, 4 guys, 1 girl. The girl's pregnant currently.
Yeah.
Which makes it even crazier. One of the guys, when they were arresting him, I guess he had a gun to his head. Did you hear this whole story?
Yeah, they said he was suicidal, and he started talking about he wanted to bring a Bible with him or some shit. These are all signs that things are going to go very fucking bad for them. Like, you got a girl in it, she's pregnant, he's suicidal, wants a Bible. It's not going good.
Not going good for who?
For the killers.
Well, it's not like they're going to get off for this.
No, they're fucked. They got so much evidence against them. Like, when you go through it, you can pretty much just, all right, pick a prison. Where do y'all want to go? It's not, you can't even come up with a defense for them. And then they just recently did it where the girl isn't waiving her right to a speedy trial, and they believe she's going to cooperate.
Right. Actually, one of my members, Kilcon RL, mentioned that. He said Alicia Andrews, who's the girl who's pregnant, She asked for a speedy trial, but the other three waived that. So yeah, I guess that means she's cooperating. Now, she was at the party, and there's a video of her. She's like, oh, I don't even drink like this.
That wasn't her.
Oh, that wasn't her?
Nah, so people were trying to say that, this and that. Man, I went to freezing shit, looking at tattoos to see if they matched up. They didn't match up. There's another one with a music video. There was a music video that they said was allegedly her, and the tattoos didn't match up. So I looked at all that shit, but they also would have included that in the arrest. Okay, shorty was at the party that he was at. We have her GPS location off her phone because they had her phone info and the kid that was in the car with her tracking Foolio to every single location he went to. So they knew everywhere she was at. They knew when they were at the B&B. They knew when they got to Tampa. They knew every club they were at. They never mentioned anything about her being at the party. People just saw a light-skinned girl and was like, oh, she was there too.
Well, yeah, the suspects are Rashad Murphy, 30, Isaiah Chance, 21, Alicia Andrews, 21, and Sean Gathright, 18.
Right.
I mean, apart from Rashad, everyone's kind of a kid.
Yeah.
Sean is a teenager. They're charged with first-degree murder, and they're saying the death penalty is actually on the table.
Yeah, I mean, that's Florida, premeditated murder. Y'all drove 3-4 hours to kill somebody.
Chance and Andrews, the girl, Alicia, have been described as the lookouts who followed Jones as he moved around Tampa to 2 clubs while celebrating his birthday on June 22nd.
Right.
Yeah, and then the 3 shooters showed up and killed him. Man, 5 people involved in one murder. You really think y'all gonna get away with it, huh?
Bro, they have the fucking home surveillance video of one of the shooters where he's packing his car with the guns.
Oh my God.
They went and grabbed the cars. They found bullets. They found bullets in that kid's house. They found one of the murder weapons. They found bullets matching from the shooting scene. This kid kept collectibles from the fucking case. Like, mad shit inside of his house. And then Alicia, the girl, she gave an interview with police right when she got picked up. So she's already spoke to them and confirmed, oh yeah, we were here. Oh yeah, we were at the hotel when he got hit, but we didn't know what was happening. We were lost. So it's like, they're fucked.
Well, also, when you look at this whole situation, one of the suspects, their brother, Spaz, was allegedly killed by one of Foolio's friends.
Right.
And Foolio rapped about it, and there's a video by one of Foolio's people urinating on the guy's grave.
They're supposed to be affiliated with like 1,200 or some shit. That's supposed to be the gang affiliation. I'm going to be honest with you. When I seen Young and Ace drop immediately after Foolio got killed, that kind of told me he don't got shit to do with it.
Oh, he feels comfortable enough to
basically
I play around.
I would.
With,
if I'm beefing with somebody and they died, I don't got shit to do with it. I'm nonstop talking about it if I'm disrespectful like that. If I'm a drill rapper, you know what I mean? Like, it just made sense. Anytime somebody's involved in some shit, you never see them talk about it. Like that, he went to dropping immediately. So it's like, it seems like they just, whatever happened, and he got to, you know, he's happy about it. And I mean, knowing what happened with him and his brothers, you can't really tell him to feel otherwise.
Yeah, Young and Ace did an interview with Academics, and he was drinking Don Julio the whole time.
Yeah.
And I remember I asked Academics about this, and he was like, yeah, he brought that with him. That was something he requested.
Yeah, people can say what they want, but at the end of the day, he had to watch his brother die in front of him, and he lost 3 people in one night. You can't tell him how to act. He can be as disrespectful as he fucking want. Nobody understands the pain he went through, and he got hit up.
I remember me and Tony Yayo talked about this in our last interview, where Hang on.
You can't mention Tony Yayo and not show that shirt though.
Yeah, I'm wearing a free Yayo shirt right now. I'm wearing a free Yayo shirt as we speak. Right? People say, you know, Yayo will never do another interview with me and so forth, and 50 hates me. And it's actually kind of funny because I ran into 50 on my flight about a week ago. I was flying from LA to Houston on a connecting flight, and he was in first class with me. And I'm like, oh shit. So I ran up on him. I didn't ran up on him. I approached him. I was like, yo, 50's Vlad. He's like, oh, what's up? I'm like, yo, was joking about how you hate me. He's like, nah, man, not at all. He's like, no, I like the interviews y'all do
I
together.
hope y'all keep doing them too, because that's my favorite interviews that I watch.
Yeah, man. Shout out to 50. You know, my Yayo voice. Shout out to Yayo. I called Yayo right afterwards. I'm like, yo, I got your big homie here with me. He's like, who? I'm like, who's your big homie? 50? I'm like, yeah. So yeah, man, you'll probably see me at the next Humor Harmony weekend also, because me and 50 talked about that. I told him how I couldn't make it because of some family shit that was happening. But he was like, yo, you should have came and really covered it. So you'll see me out there next time on it.
That's dope. He one of the only rappers I really want to meet. The first poster I had was the Get Rich or Die Trying poster.
Yeah, no, 50's dope, man. 50's dope. And like, when you meet him in person, he's really like very, very cool, very polite, very inviting, like just a cool dude. But me and 50 go back like 20 years. Yeah. I used to go down to G-Unit offices and film him. Not him, but I used to film like other G-Unit guys in the office, and me and him have had conversations, man. Cool dude. The first thing I said was like, bro, I'm so happy for your success, honestly. Because to see him pivot from hip hop into film and movies and TV is like, yo, most people can't do that.
Bro, I played his fucking video game growing up. Like,
right.
Running around with the fucking bulletproof vest with the guns out and shit. Like, yeah.
Me and Yayo were kind of going back and forth a little bit in our interview, because when I interviewed Foolio and Young and Ace, I said, how could y'all work it out? Like, is there anything we could do? Can I get y'all on three-way? I understand a lot of messed up shit, shit has happened, but can y'all get past it? Because, people will have families and kids, and there's a future involved here.
Right.
And Foolio seemed like he was open to it. He said, yeah, we'll probably talk at some point. And Young and Ace, I forgot what exactly he said, but Yayo was like, yo, man, Vlad, you should be getting involved with this street shit. Like, you're going to end up getting shot yourself trying to mediate this stuff. Like, this is more serious than you could really understand. When I talked to Foolio and Young and Ace, I said, listen, I understand there's a lot of shit, but can y'all work it out? Can y'all get on the phone? Can y'all put it behind? Because I remember when
But you know what? That's when you're doing too much. And I'm going to tell you why. Because street politics, you got to leave that for the streets.
You don't think that I can at least try?
No. I think, no. Street politics, leave that for the streets. Because when you get them on the phone, you never know who the feds is watching or who's on the phone or whatever. Now you mixing yourself in street shit. Oh, now Vlad's on the wiretap trying to play Kumbaya. That's not me and your business. If two niggas got beef, that's not me and your business. Because one thing now these days, the younger generation, they don't want you to preach to them. All you can do is show them or give them an example. But you getting caught up in what they doing, this how the streets work. You could be cool with this side and cool with this side. But once bodies drop, there's no kumbaya for these niggas. His friends died, you put it in the rap song. His friends died, you put it on the rap song. Okay, now the goal is to hurt one of y'all or embarrass one of y'all, because like I said, it's social media. So if I'm trying to get Young and Ace and Foolio on the phone, you gonna get smoked.
I never said I'm trying to get him on the phone, but I said, can y'all work it out?
Yeah,
and Foolio said, we'll talk sooner than later.
Look,
we'll probably work it out.
Now this is where you're taking your business and you're making it personal. Listen to what I'm saying.
I'm listening.
You're taking it personal now. Now, who's going to go to that meeting? You was going to go to the meeting? Foolio and Young and Ace meet up. I'm not meeting up with them two niggas. Choppers everywhere. Yo, stop the meeting. Put it up. Vlad, the fucking beard got shot off. Vlad, put it up. Yeah, Ice Spice beard shot off. Put it up. Yo, chill. Put it up. Yo, fuck you, Vlad. Now, you on Slack on what? Vlad get hit 21 times. Because you trying to be cool with the ops. Niggas ain't with that shit.
I understand that, but I feel like I wouldn't be doing my job as a human being if I didn't at least try somewhat.
No, I mean, I respect it, but with their situation, not for nothing, I feel like Ace was more successful with music.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's usually the reason why the other person is willing to squash something, because the other person is more successful and they see it as an opportunity. Like you got people like fucking King Yella always talking about Lil Durk, but in 2 seconds, if he could, he would be Durk's friend. Why? because Dirk is successful and Yella ain't got shit going on. Not to say Foolio ain't have shit going on, but I mean, if you staying at one of the fucking cheapest hotels in Tampa, you really don't got it like that, you know? Like none of that was planned. They didn't have decent rentals. They didn't have, I'm pretty sure he got hit in the same car that he got shot in the other time. So it's like, I don't think Foolio really had money like that, really had it going on like that. And at the same time, there's a lot of bloodshed between them that it just doesn't seem like something they could get past.
Well, if you look at their biggest songs, which are all diss songs towards each other, they're both at about 60 million views on YouTube.
Yeah.
Not to say 60 million views that's not $60 million. That's not even $1 million. But from what I understand, me and Academics had a long conversation about this. Foolio had money, but he had his whole crew that were constantly getting arrested, and he would have to pay for this lawyer, pay for this bail, and so forth. And that's probably why he couldn't even move away, because there was all these people he had to financially take care of that were putting in work for him, that had he just left, it would make him look a certain type of way, or maybe even put his own family in danger. So it's a weird situation. Like,
it's fucked up.
Young and Ace was more successful musically than him. That you're right. But Foolio was okay.
Yeah, he was one of the first ones, like, to shout out my channel and, you know, show love on my shit. And when I heard he was in Tampa, I was actually gonna reach out to interview him because I was in Tampa at the time. I just didn't have a studio, like, ready. So that was the only reason I didn't do it. I didn't reach out to him because I didn't have the studio. Because everywhere he was at is places I've either been or gone to. Like Truth 18, the club that he's walking up the stairs showing everybody, I've been up in there. My people know the owners. Like, I know exactly where he was at, and I would have also told him, why the fuck are you over here? Come over to this side of Tampa. Like, you by the trenches. This isn't where you should be at. But, you know, I never sent the message and then found out he got killed.
I mean, if you think about it, you could have gotten killed interviewing him.
I would have been straight in Tampa.
You know, you never really know how these things work out.
You're right. I don't want to, but knowing who he is and what comes with it, because I don't think that was the first time he got shot at in Tampa, we would have been more on point than him, is a better way of putting things. He was fucked up because it was his birthday. We would have been sober. So I feel like I would have had a more controlled situation. He was obviously just fucked up and celebrating, and it caused his demise.
Well, I just came back from Savannah, Georgia, to do my second interview with Quando Rondo. The first one was 5 years ago when he first started to really buzz. And he's currently on house arrest. So me and him start talking, and I'm like, yo, I want to do some shit with you. And he's like, I'm on house arrest. If you want to do something with me, you'll have to come down to Savannah. I said, all right, say less. I flew down, flew in a couple of my camera people. We rented a studio, and we knocked out this interview. Now, he didn't really want to touch on the King Von situation too heavily. He has talked about that, and that Von, you know, the murder of Von was a very divisive situation in hip-hop. But I told him on camera that I don't think he did anything wrong. And we kind of left it at that. And what I realized as I was going through the research was that although Lil Tim did kill King Von, he was cleared because Georgia has a stand your ground law.
Right.
You know, because people are saying, oh, he wasn't the shooter, Von was killed by police. Nah, that's not what happened.
Well, let me ask you this, though, right? What did Quando do?
Meaning?
Well, you said he's not wrong for what he did. What did he do? Because all I saw was he was just getting punched in his shit. You're right.
I see what you're saying.
Not to disrespect him, because I've actually spoke to him. He's cool as a motherfucker, but he didn't really do shit at all. It was his people that did something. But I'll say this, though. After that happened, he had two choices, and I think that one would have killed his career. he could have either never talked about it or stand on it. And he chose to stand on it and drop a video wearing the same outfits from the night that the shit happened and essentially dissing King Von. So when you go that way with it, it's like, all right, now what's up for everybody? You know what I mean?
Well, when I said that he didn't do anything wrong, he's the boss. So anything that happens, whether he directed it himself, he is ultimately responsible for.
Right.
Things that your people do on your behalf, whether directly spoken or unspoken, that's you. As a boss, with a crew, with employees, with a staff, whatever you want to call it, I'm responsible for all their actions. And when they mess up, I have to come in and fix it. When they do well, I have to praise them for it. So had he said, Lil Tim crashed out and I told him not to do it and he completely disobeyed my orders and blah, 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 that would have been one thing. But the fact that he still rocks with Lil Tim. In fact, when him and NBA YoungBoy dropped the album together, the first song has Lil Tim on it.
Yeah.
That's a big look for Lil Tim to be on a song with NBA YoungBoy.
Nah, I mean, it's major all the way around the board, but it's just like, you know, trying to go peaceful about that situation after it happened, I feel like would have killed his career. And because of that, he had to be disrespectful about it. Lil Tim was disrespectful about it. And now they got to stand on it. And it's like a lot of people are fans of Von. A lot of people wish that shit didn't happen, including myself. And it made people pick a side. And that's really just where shit's at right now.
Yeah, but that always happens. I always felt that that situation was extremely similar to how Tupac died. You have a guy that attacked somebody out of the blue that should not have done it, and the immediate reaction to it is a murder that occurs.
Right.
Because of that person choosing to put hands on somebody. And I truly feel this way, man. Like, there's no such thing in life as a fair fight. I don't care who thinks it's fair, how fair you try to make it, whatever else. There's always going to be someone that has an edge over someone else.
Yeah, I've learned that from experience.
Yes. There's no, you can come into it thinking it's going to be a fair fight.
No, yeah.
But that other person was going to, they're trying to win and they're trying to get out of there with as little damage as possible.
Right. I mean,
So-
I got size on me. So it's like when people see me on the screen and they see me in real life, they're like, oh, okay, he's a little bit bigger than expected. So I'm kind of used to getting hit with shit and jumped and all that. But yeah, in states where you got stand your fucking ground, you can't do nothing to somebody. You fuck around and push somebody the wrong way, they can shoot you. And they're not even
Exactly.
getting put in handcuffs. Police are coming, they're going to see what happened, and they get to leave the scene. I don't even know if the gun gets confiscated.
Yeah.
So it's like, because, you know, even with the Trayvon Martin situation, didn't he end up selling the gun or auctioning the gun or some shit?
Yep.
So it's like, stand your ground is fucking, you can't just be touching people.
And listen, I think what Zimmerman did was horrific because he was basically hunting Trayvon for no reason. Because he felt that a black person is automatically a criminal in his neighborhood.
Yeah, he's
Like, it
neighborhood
makes no
patrol or
sense.
some stupid shit. That whole thing was...
Yeah, it was established that Trayvon was just going home. He wasn't bothering anybody.
And he got people killed because of that.
What do you mean?
George Zimmerman.
He got people killed?
Yeah, inside of prison. There was a case with a guy, when the news came out that he did that to Trayvon Martin, there was a guy in prison that had a white cellmate. And the cellmate was begging to get let out of confinement. The COs ignored him. So he ended up beating the shit out of the black dude beat the shit out of the white dude and then started jumping off the top bunk onto his head until it squished and he fucking killed him because of, he did it for Trayvon Martin. That's what he was yelling. out of the cell, that it was for him. So, you know, a lot of there's shit that happens because at the end of the day, this is the South. That race shit, it's still, you know? So when he did that, even though I don't think George Zimmerman's white at all, there were things that happened because of that. And then obviously the fact that there was no justice in the situation, it pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah. That situation was horrific. But I generally support stand your ground.
Yeah.
I feel that if you put your hands on me, I'm allowed to react in any way that I want.
I don't even have to put my hands on you. I could say, take those fucking glasses off and give them to me. And if you're in fear for your life, you can shoot me. Isn't that crazy? You just got to be in fear for your life. You can do what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I could see where this law could be abused. But in general, if you're with your man and this guy is like the savior of your neighborhood, Quando Rondo, he's the biggest rapper out of Savannah ever, and he's changed your whole life and the lives of everyone around you, and he's minding his business, and suddenly this guy suddenly attacks him out of the blue, and you protect him with lethal force, I don't see how people could get mad at Quando for this, or even Lil Tim for this.
They got to get mad at somebody. They're just going to pick. I would hope that if I got into a situation like that I had somebody like a Lil Tim with me.
Right.
But I'm not justifying all the diss and the shit that came afterwards. Just in that immediate situation, that's what he was supposed to do.
Yep, I agree, which is why in the interview I said, I don't think you did anything wrong. And by you, I mean you and your whole team, with you being the head of it.
Right.
But on July 23rd, Quando Rondo was arrested by the state for controlled substances and street gang activity. He was given a $100,000 bond, and some events happened, and then he got hit with a Fed charge.
Right.
The Fed charge is conspiring with others to possess and distribute drugs like cocaine, marijuana, meth, and fentanyl. The indictment also included weapons charges and conspiracy to interfere with commerce by robbery. He had 3 co-conspirators, Donald Lil D. Davis, Tyshawn Stroh Davis, and LaRon Hollywood Thompson. He knows Lil D and Stroh. Hollywood, he said he has no idea who that is. But he said a lot of times in these situations, they'll throw you in with other people to make it look a certain type of way.
Yeah. I mean, his fucking state case, they made him out to be the biggest fucking Crip in Georgia. And the Fed case, which is pretty much the same as the state case, they didn't mention the gang affiliation, but it's really just, okay, you're associated with them and they're doing all this shit. We're putting you in it. They're saying he conspired. Conspired can be, oh, what, you need some weed? Oh, yeah, homie got it. So his homie's getting charged with selling all this shit, but you getting hit with the conspiracy because you know what I'm saying, you middleman it or whatever the situation is. He really wasn't doing shit. His co-defendants are the ones that were getting GPS trackers for cars to do robberies, but he's pretty much guilty by association.
Well, yeah, and that's what we essentially talked about. Look, do I think that Quando Rondo, at this point in his career, with songs with like literally, I think, billions of views at this point, he signed to one of the biggest rappers in the world, NBA YoungBoy, and they do projects together. He's touring around. Do you think that he's really distributing meth and fentanyl? Like, do you really think that he really has his hands in something like that? No. Are those his friends? Yes. I'm sure those are his friends.
And it's like you just said, when you're the boss, you're responsible for the people around you.
Hey, man, I feel like the plague of hip-hop is the entourage. When you look at 99% of problems that happen in hip-hop, 1 out of 100 is the actual rapper doing something.
Yeah.
The other 99 is someone in the entourage being stupid, doing what they were doing before this rapper became successful as a rapper, beating people up, sexually harassing women, raping women. Like, you know, see what I'm saying? All this stuff that ultimately the rapper has to, you know, either foot the bill to fix it or potentially get criminally charged with.
But on the other side of that, a lot of people find power through their entourage, knowing that they can pay to have people do what
you don't
do
need
shit
that
they weren't doing.
power. Hire some regular ass security.
Yeah, but you know everybody want to look tough. They want they want the killers around them, and they want the, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just Finesse 2 Times just did a video in Chicago showing that he's good in Chicago because he's supposed to be a vice lord or whatever. What was the point of that?
I don't see the point of any of it. I see this is all childish behavior of trying to have a certain type of image. And look, like, Quando showed up with his security and a couple of his people, but none of them were like killers or, you know, like, not to say I know what a killer is, but I'm just saying that none of them were like aggressive or like angry or nothing. There was like a girl and like a couple of guys, his actual security, who was like a real even-headed guy. You know, we were hanging out outside. You know, he was smoking a cigarette. We were all talking. Like, you don't have to show up looking like you're going to terrorize the fucking club. You know, you do that when you're actually going to terrorize the club. If you're going to go in, you know, I remember I interviewed, Brick Baby. He was saying how him and the Rolling 60s pulled up in LA when BMF and Jeezy were there, and they're going to rob, you know, Jeezy's chain. And then, like, when they showed up to the section, like, you know, one of the BMF dudes had like a chopper in the club. And they're like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
All right, I get that. But BMF is a crew of drug dealers at the time, right? You don't need to do this. Have one, you know, my security guy who I used last night, he was actually working with Diddy right up to the time that he got arrested. And Diddy travels with 3 professional security guards. And I guess one of them called in sick, so he came in as the 3rd. And he was like, yeah, like Diddy has 3 professional security guys. He doesn't have 20 guys from Harlem, you know, with slashes across their face with illegal pistols on them. No, he hires 3 real security guards that will deal with whatever problems occur. And you never really see problems with Diddy when he's out like that.
Right.
Because, I mean, I remember who said this. Mr. Vegas. He said that, like, all these reggae guys like to have, like, all these shotzes and all these goons with them, you know, but you bring one professional security guy and all those guys are scared of him. Because that guy looks like he's serious. The guy in the suit with the bulge, you know, in his jacket, those guys are going to go up against, you know,
well,
the guy with the
I don't
suit.
think it's a matter of, like, who's going to shoot who. I think it's just a matter of, like, straight motherfuckers don't have the power to put you in prison unless they tell on you.
Right.
So when you see that dude with the suit on, it's like, all right, that motherfucker gonna, you know?
He gonna tell.
He gonna put your
and
ass
that's
away.
fine. I want my security to tell.
Yeah.
That's what I want. In New York, I use actual NYPD sometimes. I want them to cooperate in case something goes down. That's what I want. I want them to get on the stand. And, you know, police, when they get on the stand, I believe the judge instructs the jury that their evidence, their statements are considered expert statements as opposed to just a regular witness.
Man.
You're familiar with this, right?
I'm not, nah.
Yeah. No, this is a real thing. I remember learning about this a while back. Because that police is a professional. They have certain, you know, not to say they always do it, but they're trained in giving details, breaking down situations. They have body cameras sometimes and so forth. You bring in a random crackhead off the street, like, you know, you don't know what the fuck they're going to say. You don't know they're high at the time. You don't know whatever. You bring in a police and they take the stand, the jury is instructed to take their testimony more importantly than other people's testimony. So, no, that's some real shit. That's some real shit.
Now, I got a question for you. Because you brought up Brick Baby, and, you know, everybody knows Brick's association with the Crips and all that.
Right.
Did you ask him about hanging out with YSL Woody?
Yeah, he said that he went down to Atlanta with Adam just to have his presence there, just in case. That's what he said.
Yeah, because he knew Woody from back in the day, but that's why I was wondering, like, damn, like, because it wasn't just him. It was Seti Nash, too. And they all linked up with Woody, and I mean, they getting their content, whatever, but it just, sometimes I be wondering, too, like, how far does shit go? Like, does he get fully embraced even though everyone knows he snitched, or how does shit work? That's why I don't even, the snitching videos is over with.
Yeah.
Cause it's like I said, if one person from YSL embraces Woody, then everyone else's opinion is voided. So it's like, shit be crazy.
Yeah. Well, at the time that I interviewed him, Quando Rondo had pled guilty to drug conspiracy charges. He pleaded guilty to willfully joining a plan to obtain and distribute more than 12 kilograms of marijuana. So he basically, even though there's fentanyl and meth in the original, indictment, he just pleaded guilty to weed.
Okay.
They're saying he's facing a possible 5-year sentence. He's supposed to be sentenced in December. And at the time of the interview, he had his ankle monitor.
Is that the max, or is that just what they think he's gonna get?
I'm not sure.
Because, I mean, that doesn't even sound... The thing is this, though, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't really think of any rappers that have gotten out of prison and had the same type of career. Like, it seems to be a career killer. The only one that I can think of that came home and has actually put good music out is Kodak. And even then...
I can name you a whole bunch to actually break down that theory.
Yeah? That got out and were just as successful? I mean, I could think of Gucci, but Gucci's bid wasn't really that...
Gucci was locked up for quite a while. And in fact, Gucci's career did very well after he got out.
Yeah.
Tupac's career did better after he got out.
Yeah, so I didn't think of him because that ain't really my generation. He was already,
Tupac came out huge. Huge. Now, granted, he had the #1 album when he went in with like Dear Mama and everything. But when he got out, that's when All Eyes on Me came out and California Love. And, listen, it was 6 months of absolute chaos and whirlwinds, and which ultimately ended in his murder. So think about all that. But yeah, Tupac got bigger when he got out. T.I. got, he was big when he went in, and when he got out, he got big as well.
How much time did he do?
Not that much time.
Less than like 2 years, right? Because that's why everyone was trying to say he snitched and shit.
1 year and 1 day.
All right, so that ain't nothing. Lil Wayne did like a year on Rikers Island.
Yep.
Fucking Bobby Shmurda did what, 7?
Yep.
His shit's not the same.
No, his shit's not the same, But then again, if you really think about it, when he went in, he just had that one big song.
Well, when Gucci went in, Gucci wasn't even mainstream like that. Gucci was like street shit. And then Gucci came home and really took off on the mainstream shit and just got a whole another level of rich. But
yeah,
I don't know. Like Pooh Shiesty's doing what, 5? That we're gonna see how that plays out.
Remy Ma did a long stretch, came out and did well.
That's not my generation. I don't even know.
She shot a girl.
No, I know. I heard about what she did. I just wasn't listening I wasn't really listening to it to pay attention to it like that.
No, man, listen. I think what you're saying, at least what I think you're saying, is that back in the day, a lot of rappers did do a bunch of prison time, came out, and they became just completely unknown. But in these days, like Rollo. Rollo did his prison time, came out, and there's a lot of buzz over Rollo. Not to say that he's had any, really big songs, but then again, he was also kind of an underground rapper already when he went in.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, these days with social media and the attention you get coming out of prison and so forth, you could come out and have a great career and actually even have a bigger career because the prison time ends up being a promotional vehicle.
Yeah, I don't know. I think with this new generation, I think it kills them because it's like, the fucking vibe of the music changes up so fast. And then people will come home trying to rap how they were rapping that many years ago. But I mean, I'll say this though, I also think the amount of time somebody get is gonna play a part too. If you're locked up for 7 years, whatever you dropped 7 years ago is not gonna hit the same now. In Smurder's example. You know what I'm saying? But it's like with Pooh Shiesty, he's doing 5. We don't know how that's gonna play out. Finesse 2 times came home from prison and took off, but I don't think anyone was listening to his shit before that. Like, I don't think he was as big before that.
Yep.
I think it takes a hit, bro. Even with YouTube, if something happened to me right now, knock on wood, I got 1 million subscribers. My analytics are gonna drop in a month. You know what I mean? So 6 months, my shit's dead. It's not making any fucking money. 3 years,
Yep.
I come home, I drop a video, it ain't gonna hit the same.
When I interviewed Brick Baby, we got into the whole story of Eric Holder. Now, Eric Holder and Brick Baby kind of have the same street name. They're both Shitty Cuz.
I didn't know that.
And, yeah. Yeah, they're both called Shitty Cuz. In fact, I even brought up a piece of my interview with 21 Savage where he goes, oh, yeah, you know, I'll fuck with Crips. You know, when I'm in L.A., I'll fuck with Shitty Cuz. And I'm like, is he talking about you? And Brick was like, yeah, I know 21 Savage. That's who he's talking about. He's not talking about Eric Holder. But yeah, I mean, basically, Eric Holder's a little bit younger than him. And when he became a Crip, they gave him the name. Shitty, the term, the reason why they use Shitty Cuz, it means like, yeah, man, you know, this is, we stay real shitty out here. You know, we're real grimy. Like, I'm shitty. I'm in the soil, like that type of thing. So
I'm glad you explained that, because I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was always.
I wouldn't want that shit to be my name.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be called shitty either, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, Eric Holder, in fact, there was a situation where they got into it with some gang members, and Eric Holder, he didn't want to go into all the details, but it sounded like Eric Holder pulled out a gun and basically shot at those guys and saved his life. You know what I'm saying? So they were cool. He doesn't agree with what happened because Nipsey was his friend as well. But there was an interesting chain of events. Like, for example, Eric Holder got beat up real bad by this other guy in the neighborhood. And the guy, I guess, slammed his head into the asphalt a bunch of times, and he had brain damage. He had brain surgery. So he said that he was a little bit different after that. And essentially, the rumor about Eric Holder snitching wasn't true. It was this other guy that they know was trying to spread that rumor, but that's not what happened. You know, Eric Holder was a real, serious guy. He really was a gangster, and those rumors were fucking with him. So the day that, the situation with Nipsey occurred, Eric had already gotten into it with someone. I guess he had pulled out a gun on him and so forth. So he was already in a fucked up mood. Now, Nipsey was also in a mood because I guess a week before, DJ Khaled had pulled up to Nipsey's neighborhood to do a music video. And I guess Nipsey hadn't arrived yet, and a bunch of guys that basically pressed Khaled. So Nipsey was upset with some of his team for not having better security. Here was a celebrity showing up to their neighborhood to do this big video, and they're getting pressed by a bunch of guys. So he was already kind of edgy in his own way. So when those two met up, Nipsey was like, oh, I heard about the snitching rumors, you should get that taken care of. And I think, from Brick Baby's perspective, Eric just had enough. It was just like, man, this guy too is going to accuse me of this shit. I'm so fucking sick of this. It's not true. Everywhere I go, they're talking about this. Now Nipsey's fucking accusing me of this, and he just snapped.
No.
What's your take on this?
I don't fucking know, bro. I mean, they were trying to say that he wore a red shirt to try to confuse people into thinking that Bloods was behind it, to try to show some form of premeditation. I don't know who the fuck does what he did, because he didn't just shoot him. He shot him and then stomped on him.
Yeah.
It seemed like he snapped, And Brick, me and him have spoke a few times. He cool people. He's close to the source, so I just agree with whatever he talking about,
Yeah, and I've talked about this in some of the interviews. Had this happened in prison, you accuse someone of snitching in prison, immediate violence is considered completely normal.
Yeah, well, in prison it'll go a little different because if I got your paperwork, we don't even need to accuse you. We'll just read it and then pop you. We're not going to tell you first. So it's like, it would have just went differently, you know? But, because, I mean, if you got the fucking paperwork, why do you need an explanation? Now, if it's just rumor, then it comes down to if you're going to be the one that says it, you'll be expected to do something. But also, before it even gets to that point, it falls on you to go get the paperwork. So whoever's talking about it, all right, where's the paperwork? And then if you don't have any fucking paperwork, you're just running your mouth, then you get popped. So it's just one of them. Because California is strict, bro, with them politics. I don't think it would have been as loose.
Okay, so for example, when you were doing your prison time, if some person that you know approached you publicly with a bunch of people around and said, hey, man, I heard you were snitching, what would you do at that moment?
I'm popping him. Like, I mean, it just depends on how the situation goes, bro, because if your people are pulling you aside, like, yo, we heard this, this is like trial. This is where you plead your case. Who the fuck said that? Oh, him? I extorted him at the last prison. That's why he said that. Okay, so then we go grab him. And now when I'm in front of him, it's a different story. You know what I mean? So it depends. But now if a random person that's not associated with who you are walks up and says some shit like that, it's the same as somebody walking up like, oh, I heard you a bitch. Okay. Now you gotta do what you gotta do. They're just trying you. You know what I mean? So it's different. But I'll be honest, in Florida, like, you really didn't hear about shit like that. Like, nobody really talked about snitching like that in prisons. Like, on street paperwork shit, like, that wasn't really a factor that I remember ever hearing about. It was more so who was snitching inside the prison and dropping kites on people and getting them put under investigation.
Well, I interviewed Hector Bravo. He was a prison guard for, I think, like 25 years.
Yeah, I watched that.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Interesting.
Yeah.
California is not to be fucked with. And I think it's powerful that he is able to see all of the corruption within the same system that he worked for. You know what I mean? Because a lot of staff that work inside of prisons, they know what it is. They just don't go against it. So for him to actually come out and speak against it is major.
Yeah, and he broke down a lot of things that I wasn't familiar with. And granted, I'm not a prison guy, so there's going to be lots of stuff I'm not familiar with. But having him break it down was interesting, because there's different levels, right, in prisons. And level 4 is considered the highest level.
Right.
In terms of the type of people that are, in terms of the amount of time they have and so forth. And he said that in level 4, violence is never random. And it's always carried out with weapons. There's never a fist fight.
Yeah.
Is that pretty accurate?
I can't speak on that because he worked in California. So like the levels and all that, level 4s, that's California shit. So basically, he worked in the most serious spots that there are, where the politics and all that. Florida is Grand Theft Auto. Anything fucking goes. Anybody does whatever the fuck they want. It's random. It's crazy. There's no politics. Florida's a different breed when it comes to that shit. So I really can't give an opinion on that because that wasn't my experience.
Yeah, I mean, he said usually it's 2-on-1 stabbings. And most of the stabbings were races attacking each other, which they would call spring cleaning.
Yeah, cleaning up house.
Yeah. He talked about a situation where, like, one of the guys had some knives and he, like, duct taped the knives to his hands. And they were trying to subdue him, but, like, they couldn't get the knife out of his hand because it was literally duct tape.
Drop it, yeah.
Have you ever heard anything crazy like this?
Yeah, fuck yeah. I done heard about people making body armor with books, stuffing them in a jacket and fucking taping it all around them. And you know what I'm saying? If you don't have, because you got to get shit like tape, you ain't just getting tape. You got to get shit like that from the control booth. But there's people that, on most knives, when you make a knife, when you make the handle, we all got ID clips in prison where you got your ID. So that clip, they'll put it on the end of a knife on a either a string or the sheet, whatever, you know, so you keep, when you make it so when you grab the knife, you can put around the handle, you tie a sheet and it goes around your wrist. So if you drop the knife, it's hanging and then you can just scoop it back up and go back to work. But that same, you put the clip on it, and then with that clip, you clip it to your boxes so the knife is right next to your dick. So when you walk around, that's how you got the knife. You reach in, grab it, pull it out, boom. But yeah, you had people making body suits and whatever. Like if people knew something was about to happen, you really didn't see it like that. And then as far as like how people got hit, it's all drive-bys, bro. Like all that movie shit where like you see this group lined up over here and this group lined up over here, and then they just, I never saw that. What I saw was drive-bys. The same way people pull up, fire off, and get the fuck out of there. Same shit they doing in prison. They'll catch you while you walking, run up, tag you, and then get the fuck on. And that's really just what I saw. You had some knife fights, yeah. It was really just hit and move.
I've always heard people say, well, I got sent to this prison and it was gladiator school. But he actually talked about what he referred to as gladiator wars. And he said that this would actually come down from headquarters in Sacramento, where they would purposely, intentionally mix inmates that shouldn't be near each other. A lot of times when I interview people who've done prison time, they talk about gladiator school.
Yeah.
But there's actually something called gladiator wars, where the prisons would intentionally mix inmates on purpose to kind of cause violence. And it would actually come down from headquarters in Sacramento. So this is a real thing?
And that is why I resigned. That is why I resigned. That not only is a real thing, I was ground zero. I was boots on the ground. We were mixing them.
So you would purposely put Norteños and Sureños together, Crips and Bloods together.
More so, even worse, sensitive needs, SNY, PC, protective custody, mixed with general population, GP. That's worse.
That's worse.
Yeah, you got child molesters, you got rats, you got dudes, dropouts. I mean, it's like putting two beta fishes together.
Dropouts is people who left gangs.
Correct.
Snitches?
Yes.
They're all in PC.
Yes.
What about celebrities?
Celebrities are PC for the most part, yes.
Do they ever get put into this gladiator war situation?
No, I don't know of any celebrity that has been put. I don't know if it's sheer luck or just it just didn't happen.
They would put rival gangs in the same room to kill each other. They would mix general population with segregated inmates. So they would put child molesters in with general population on purpose.
No.
And and then havoc would ensue. Have you ever seen this? The prisons actually purposely doing this, or in Florida do they try to avoid it?
In Florida, they don't give a fuck. So it's not even that they're doing it on purpose. They just don't care. But yeah, you got certain COs that are dirty. Like the COs know all the gang members by name. So they know like, all right, this dorm is a blood house. That dorm's a Zoe house. If you're a blood and that CO doesn't like you, he's going to put you in there because he knows you're going to get popped immediately. You know what I mean? And one thing that was happening a lot at Lancaster, I mean, it happens everywhere, but at Lancaster specifically, when we went to war, whoever we're going to war with is who they're selling you with in confinement. So if we're going at it with the Crips, they're putting a Crip in my cell in confinement. They're like, all right, you want to go to war with them? We're going to stick you in there with them. And then what would happen is the orderlies would come through 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you know, bringing the trays or whatever. When the orderlies come, they bring the news from the compound. So the orderly comes in, and if he goes up to someone's cell that's a Crip, oh yeah, 2 of your brothers just got cut. 3 of your brothers just got stabbed. Now every Crip in that confinement dorm that hasn't someone else in their cell, and a rival gang, everyone in confinement's fighting now because one of your people just got popped. So if I'm in a cell with a rival gang member and we're cordial, we're not friends, but we're obviously stuck in here together, the second news comes to me, one of my brothers just got hit by one of his people, now me and him are going to tear it down in the cell. There's a lot of shit like that.
We've never spoken about this before, but this was covered by both you guys on No Jumper. You in the fight with Pino.
Yeah.
What started the whole back and forth?
Him snitching.
Who did he snitch on?
Fucking everybody. So I don't even really want to get into this shit because I feel like his career is dead. And the only way it gets brought back up is by continuously talking about dude. But how this shit, how it started was there was 3 channels from Florida. It was me, K-Frog, and Pino. And everybody was cool. And then a random YouTube channel dropped a video saying he was snitching. So we called him, asked him about it, and he's like, oh yeah, that's my co-defendant and this and that, Because he basically snitched on a female in his case. And he said everything was true about the paperwork except for the part of him snitching. And then just more and more shit came out, and then fucking the interrogation video I ended up getting. He was the first person I ever exposed for snitching. But I got the interrogation video. It was like 14 or 15 different people he told on. And then he rode around with the police showing them whose house was who and whatever. And then the day after I dropped the interrogation video, he wasn't a Crip anymore. He changed his life and became a family man. So, yeah.
Okay, so you put that out there, and, you know, I'm sure he felt some type of way about it. And I guess at one point he was coming to Boston.
Yeah, that what he say. What I heard was they were going to Michigan or some shit. He was looking for him and K-Frog. They were supposed to fight, a link up or whatever. And one of them, K-Frog, would go looking for him. He would go looking for K-Frog. They lived like 15 minutes away. Nobody ever found each other. So he was supposed to go to Michigan or something, and he asked whoever to stop in Boston. Because it was him, whoever he was with. They stopped in Boston, and he started doing the whole 6ix9ine shit. Like, oh, I'm here. You know this is where I'm at. So I feel like you're doing it to try to antagonize me, you know? He's posting, he's coming to Boston, whatever. So I went live outside of where I was living at. Like, all right, pull up. And I was on live for like 30 minutes, some shit like that. And nobody pulled up. And then when I go to the back of the buildings, come to find out, he was in the back of the buildings the whole time, just sitting there on his phone watching me on live. So then when I come to the back of the buildings, we see each other, and then we get in a little fight.
Okay, so you guys get into a fist fight, but it wasn't recorded, right?
No, it was recorded.
Was it released?
They didn't put out the whole thing.
Okay.
They put out like clips.
Okay.
He put out what he felt made him look good. So that's what they put. And then they took out the audio because you hear certain shit in the audio that wouldn't have made him look good. And that's how that happened.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question. At the time, were you on probation or anything else like that?
No.
Okay. Why would you meet up to physically confront somebody knowing that you might get sent to prison over it?
Well, that's the thing. I didn't feel like I would get sent to prison over it because I knew what I was willing to do and what I wasn't willing to do.
Well, but once again, let's go back to the earlier part of our interview where you and I agreed once you put your hands on somebody, you don't know what's going to happen next.
No, that's a fact. And like you also said, you can't expect a fair fight.
Exactly.
But I went into the situation with the understanding that if anything gets used or if I get jumped, it makes you look like a bitch, not me. So all that fighting shit, because he was down there for a while, like a month or two, going at it with the other dude, and they can't find each other. So if you came all the way to my city, I'm not going to disappoint you, all right? You want to fight? Let's fight. And then he did his no jumper interview after that. That's actually what got him the interview. And Adam asked him if he used a weapon, and he said on the interview that he used the weapon. So, I don't know. I just felt like, obviously, he come up, I shoot him, I'm going to prison. I stab him, I'm going to prison. But we could fight. And it just, whatever.
Well, slow down for a second. You could go to prison in a fist fight. You could hit someone, they fall, hit their head, they die, you're now up for a murder.
Right. Well,
Right?
thank God that didn't happen.
Thank God it didn't happen. But I'm just saying, things happen in the course of a fight. Especially when you're big and, you know, you've had a history of violence and everything else like that. Yeah, you want to just do a fade and, you know, everyone just uses their hands and so forth. But, you know, people fall on the ground, people get stomped. You know, like I said, with the whole Eric Holder situation, it just started out as a fight. It started out as something stupid, actually. He was wearing all red, and some Crip in his neighborhood was like, hey, man, you ain't no Crip. Take all that red shit off. And an argument ensued, and the guy slammed his head against the ground, and he ended up having to have brain surgery.
Nah, yeah. I mean, it was a great learning experience, because if I was actually beefing with a gangster, I could have just got killed.
Right.
You know, like there wouldn't have been no fight. I would have just got shot, because I was outside on live for 30 minutes by myself. Nobody was with me. And, you know, the story changed as time went on. I had people with me. My baby mama was outside. All these new things got added on to make the story sound better. Nobody was there. It was just me, him, and the people he brought. That was it. So it's like, that's what it is.
So did he have a weapon after he admitted that he had one on the No Jumper interview?
You gotta ask him.
Okay.
But I'll say this though, right? After that happened, he ended up catching another case. So he got caught at a gun range shooting guns as a felon, right? And within the paperwork of his case, it says that investigators had been watching his Instagram for months. And the time lapse between how long they've been watching him was before we had fought. So had I did anything extra, I'd have been gone, because they were already watching everything he was doing. And then it progressed even more. Like, dude just became obsessed. Like, he still watches all my shit. And this is like, how many years has it been? Like 3 years, 4 years? Mad later, he'll still watch my shit on Instagram. He'll still talk about me, because that's the only thing he can really like talk about is that interaction. And then more paperwork came out on him showing that he was in protective custody and that he wrote a whole fucking thing in prison to get put in PC because he was getting extorted and just all this crazy fucking shit. So it was a learning experience.
After going through this, and years later, you've matured, you've grown, would you ever pull up on someone again in a similar situation?
Nah. Well, I didn't pull up, but I would just have a security guard or a fucking Lil Tim just go hand in hand with that. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna do anything for me. And like you said, all it's gonna do is just put me in a bad position.
I mean, but why even show up on any level? Like, here's the thing, like, I have gone back and forth with lots of people on the internet, some of which are major celebrities, some of which are nobodies.
Right.
Pretty much in every case, I can't think of a case where this doesn't apply. If we ever saw each other in public, I would honestly think it's no big deal.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm gonna be honest though, after that, like, I done got into it with a whole bunch of rappers. None of them have ever hit me up privately wanting to do anything, you know? So at least with him, he came. That's about the only thing I can respect is he showed up. How he showed up or how it went or whoever he needed with him, that's another discussion. But it elevated after that, though. And once you get into the rapper beef, it's like, man, we know we not fighting. You get beat by a white boy, your whole career just died. So it's like, it just goes to an extreme level. And then at that point, you gotta, all right, is it worth it at all? Like, nah, it's not.
I mean, honestly, if I were to name a rapper who actually does everything he raps about in real life, you got to give it to the baby.
Yeah.
You roll up on the baby at a bowling alley, talk about, what'd you say about my sister? The baby will put hands on you right then and there
he's
on
beating
camera.
shit, popping shit. He's fucking, yeah.
You roll up on the baby at a Walmart when he's with his kids and you flash a gun, he will kill you in that Walmart.
He gonna put you in the ground.
He's gonna put you in the ground and then he's gonna write a song about it.
Yeah. Dance, everything.
Yep, you show up to the baby's house to do a home invasion, he will shoot at you and then talk about it in a Vlad TV interview.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm gonna say this. The baby is the realest rapper of all time. I'm gonna give him that title. Shout out to all the other real rappers out there, the Gucci's and the,
Boosies.
the Beanie Siegels and the Boosies and everything. I just feel like to the point where it's documented and they could talk about it, I feel like nobody's going to beat out the baby in terms of just being 100% authentic to everything they talk about in their raps.
Yeah, well, I mean, he be standing on business. He stands his ground, he beats the cases, and he can legally carry. So that's the thing. I can't legally carry. So if I shoot a motherfucker, even if I stand my ground, I'm still going down for the gun.
I remember me and Tony Ayo were talking about this on the phone like a month ago. When you look at the situation with Taxstone and Troy Ave, if Taxstone had brought a knife instead of a gun, he would probably be a huge podcaster right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone might have gotten stabbed a little bit, whatever else, but nobody would have died. And the fact that he was a felon with a gun in New York City in a crowded nightclub was a disaster on every level. And I remember Tony used to even say how, 50 would have conversations with him, and he used to say, like, a gun is not the right choice a lot of times. Like, a knife will actually be a better choice for certain situations than a gun, because a knife will get you out of a situation without going to prison at the same time. You pull out a gun and kill somebody, it could potentially be all over, even if it was self-defense on some level. So,
did you see the video of the shooting at the Detroit Lions game?
No. Hold on, let me pull that up.
Yeah, that's I think TMZ got it. You ever seen the movie with Denzel Washington where he's the kingpin?
You talking about American Gangster?
American Gangster. So you remember when the dude talks about owing him money or whatever, and he pulls out and he shoots him in the forehead in front of everybody?
Right.
That's how this dude gets killed.
Yeah, I'm looking at the video now. It's a tailgate shooting.
Yeah.
Man, look.
So in that video, the dude arguing got a gun out. He's not aiming it, but he's brandishing it. The dude in front of him pulls it out, shoots him right in the fucking forehead. The bullet goes through his shit, hits someone else in their head, kills 2 people. The guy that fired, not arrested. Stand your ground. I don't know if it's stand your ground, but it's self-defense. Because the other guy was brandishing a gun.
Yeah. Yeah. I think about this myself as a gun owner. I feel like at the point I pull out my gun, I have to kill the person in front of me. And that's really the end of the plan.
Yeah.
I pull out my gun and I kill him, and then I deal with the consequences. I'm not going to pull out a gun and wave it around.
Yeah.
I've never done that my whole life. And I've had guns for, a large portion of my life. There's no point, because if they have a gun, this Detroit situation is going to happen.
Yeah, they're going to shoot you.
I pull out my gun and, that's what happened with Bankroll Fresh. He pulled out a gun, waving it around. I think he even shot the first time. Didn't hit his target. It's in 1 second, it could all be over. Both ways. So just know, if you see me with a gun, that's probably going to be the last thing you see. I'm not shooting it in the air. I'm not waving it around. I'm not holding it sideways to scare you. At the point that I pull out, I have to kill you. I have no other choice. And, you know, I remember me and Academics were talking about it. In certain places, yeah, sure. Georgia, stand your ground. Florida, stand your ground. New York doesn't have a stand your ground. And I remember when I got my gun license when I was living in New York full time, they explained to me that if a home intruder breaks into my house and I pull out my gun and they turn around and run and I shoot them in the back, that's a murder charge.
Shit's
You know,
crazy.
it's a murder charge. And I remember like Academics was saying when he was going through his gun training, because he has a concealed carry, I guess the guy told him, if you shoot someone, you need to make sure there's no survivors. You don't want that person to say I was running and I got shot in the back.
Yeah.
You want that person to be dead, and you explain what you're going to explain, you know, and you deal with whatever you're going to deal with. So yeah, man, all this waving gun shit. Yeah, I mean, look at this Detroit situation. He brandished a weapon. I can't feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for the other person who got shot,
Yeah.
but I don't feel sorry for him at all. What's coming up next for you?
I don't know. I don't know yet. I got some interviews lined up. I'm just kind of waiting to pop that off. I want to figure out how I want to, if I'm putting that on the main channel, it's starting a second. And I'm going to just keep it going.
If you want my advice, stick to one channel.
Stick to one.
Well, because you'll then have to build up a whole new channel again from zero.
Right.
You already have a following. What do you have, 1 million followers?
Yeah.
You've got 1 million followers already. The algorithm is going to prioritize videos on that channel because of your 1 million followers. Yes, it's not exactly what you already do, but it's similar. You know, if you were to say, hey, I'm going to start a channel for my kids and they're going to, you know, be opening toys, then yes, I would say start a new
do
channel.
another one.
You don't want that stuff on your main channel. No, absolutely not.
Because
if you're talking about,
I've done interviews. It's just a matter of like, I'm considering how I want to break them up. If I want to do it more like clips or if I want to just drop the whole thing at one time. That's more so what I'm trying to figure out. Or if I should just start a clips channel and then keep it all, do the big drops on the main channel.
Well, look at Vlad TV. We drop clips, then we drop the big interview on the same channel.
Right.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, you know, try to overthink it and think, oh, well, my audience may not react to this if I slightly change it. No, your audience is your audience. As long as you're relatively on brand, you're fine. You know, we started doing car features, house features. There's a video of me going to the gun range, shooting off, you know, automatic weapons. We're about to do a 20 versus 1, all on the same channel.
Are you in the 20 versus 1?
Nope, I'm not. I mean, I'm hosting it, but I'm not going to say who it is, but it's 20 women versus 1 former NBA player.
Okay. Yeah, them shits be going crazy. I ain't gonna lie. Them shits be viral.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's the reality is that you always have to evolve, and you just can't do the exact same thing year after year, decade after decade, and expect growth by doing the exact same thing, because as time goes on, other people will start to do it as well.
Right.
They will see how well you're doing, and they are going to want to do something similar, which is fine. This is what people are supposed to do. You know, you copy successful people and you put your own spin on it.
That's what fucked the game up for me, was like, everyone's like, oh, how the fuck is he getting all this paperwork? He must have sources. He must be a Fed. And I got to explain it like, bitch, all you got to do is just fucking go on the website. It's right there. And then now you got mad people that do the same shit, and it just fucking, I was just the first one to jump onto it.
Yeah, and being the first actually holds weight, though.
Yeah.
It holds weight as being the original. And this is why every day, oh, Vlad's over, Vlad's in decline, you know, by the end of the year, Vlad TV will shut down, rah, 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 rah. Well, look, at the end of the day, were we doing better during the pandemic like everyone else? Yeah, we were. But we're still doing fine. We're still getting millions of people who tune in constantly. And we were first. And being first and being consistent since we were first means that we've established something that's going to hold weight for a long time to come.
I mean, like, if you really look at it, like, has anybody called you an OG in hip-hop?
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that every so often.
You got that title. Like if you took out your fucking resume, you got the years of experience with this to where your name is cemented. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, regardless, you Vlad TV. You got that. There ain't really too much you could do to fall off because you already so big in this, you know?
I mean, look, I appreciate you saying that. And as long as we keep putting out quality content and, listen, we've never had the quote unquote A-list celebrities when they go on promo tours, consistently, like a Breakfast Club and so forth that are on the radio and, iHeart could do deals with them behind the scenes. We've always had to think outside the box. It's always been like, okay, well, we may not get Jay-Z, but we could get some people around Jay-Z. And those stories might be actually very interesting stories. And we have to think left field with the shit. Like I don't think people were really doing mafia interviews like we were when we started doing it.
Yeah.
And now the true crime podcast is like every mafia guy has their own podcast now.
Right.
We were, the reason why people call me the Feds is because I would ask questions that rappers would rap about, and everyone else was scared to ask those questions.
Right.
No one on radio would be, brave enough to ask about the lyrics and what they really meant and the person's background. We did that. And now look, everybody does it now. And that's cool, man. I'm happy that people are able to see what we did and put their own spin on it and be successful at it in their own way, because we're not going to create the same product regardless of the overall format.
Right.
So yeah, man, it is what it is. 1090 Jake, man, always a pleasure when you come in. Congrats on your success. And looking forward to you doing interviews and kind of expanding on what you're doing. But, you've built up a hell of a name. Like I said in our last interview, Drake is mentioning you.
Yeah.
Lotto is mentioning you. You definitely made ripples in hip hop. And, you stand on what you stand on, and you've always been consistent. This is why you'll always have a home here at Vlad TV.
I appreciate you, bro.
No doubt, man. Peace.